This is Convo by Design. We are with Amy Benton at Lily Pruce
Studio.
On social media, though, it's at Lily Pruce.
Lily Pruce.
No studio.
No studio.
But in the website,
right.
Okay. Look at this. Look
Lily
at what
Pruce, that's all.
Look at what we've accomplished. Look at what we've accomplished already.
A whole lot. It's my entire universe.
You do some amazing kitchens. Where did that come from?
I think, for all of us, we have to follow our own passions. So you have to let your own passion decide your path in the design world. My path and my friends and my family and my spare time and all these other things led to this route of kitchens primarily. It's a language that I've known on the commercial side and a language I've known on the residential side. I put myself, obviously, into all of the projects in an empathetic kind of a way, so it's a no-brainer.
What's the difference between a residential approach and a commercial approach? Because you've done both, right?
Okay. So let me define, because there's a little bit of difference. A true commercial kitchen is not at all part of my design zone.
Okay.
Typically, that's not designer zone. That's a chef zone. That's a totally separate installation. You wind up in residential on the edge of what is almost a commercial kitchen if you are putting together a kosher kitchen, if you are putting together a caterer's kitchen for a family that does a lot of event hosting in their homes. But that's not necessarily, even though that tends towards the commercial, that's not commercial. That is still zoning-wise and venting-wise and plumbing-wise and all this other stuff. That's still firmly residential.
You talk about a kosher kitchen.
Yeah.
I would imagine that is incredibly difficult because you have 2 sinks,
Mm-hmm.
2 refrigerators, 2 dishwashers, 2 of everything.
Yeah. To an extent, I guess to an extent it's a little bit more complicated, depending on what your particular floor plan happens to look like. But in general, for all of the rules associated with a kosher kitchen, it almost defines what your design is going to become. So there's not as much that's left up in the air because you have to have a very particular footprint and things need to be in a very particular sort of proximity. So it's easier. It's actually easier than people think.
Okay. So as a perfectionist, this is interesting too. And with your background, how as a designer do you manage the relationship between the architect, the designer, the homeowner, the retailer?
Again, everyone's stories are different. Mine happens to encompass all of these worlds with all of these personalities and all of these people. So for me, I'm able to kind of sit myself, even when things get frustrating, in an empathetic enough place to understand the architect's point of view, to liaise with anybody else who's helping out if I'm working on something else with the kitchen, with installers, with the showrooms and the retail. It's okay for me to say, it's a minor problem, we'll handle it. When I think about everything that we do, again, it's wonderful and it creates pretty amazing, ends of projects, but it's still design, it's still pretty, and I think for anything like this that arises, when you've got problems and you've got language issues, essentially, it's important just to say, I'm going to step back, we're good.